Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And I know it's been a while that I've posted something, but here I am, and I wanted to post something a little bit different because I was really interested in this. But today I'm going to be doing a review of the Honey Pot, a couple of the Honey Pot things. So I guess you can maybe say it's kind of a line from the three things that I got, but I just wanted to do a review because one, I tried it, and so anything that I try that I think is worth sharing information, I'm going to do that. And then also because it's a black owned brand company, and she deserves all the recognition. So first off, I just want to tell you guys what I bought, which is the Honey Pot foaming wash. I bought the sensitive one because I am pretty sensitive and I'd rather be safer than sorry. But then I found out later that the only difference between this one and the normal wash is that the normal wash has coconut. So for people who whose skin typically doesn't like coconut, then this is the one that you go for. But everything besides my face is pretty okay with coconut. So next time I may try the regular one. But okay, so this is the sensitive foaming wash. It has no parabens, no dioxides. It's plant-based feminine care. And the pH is from 3.5 to 4.5, which I was told that's the normal range of your vagina. And cruelty safe, sulfate free. And yeah, so this one has lavender, vinegar, and calendula, which I never heard of until I got this. So apparently this flower is something that is for sensitive skin. It's used for like babies and diaper rash and stuff like that in the natural world. So pretty good for sensitive skin. What else? Made by humans with vaginas for humans with vaginas. Now this brand was made because it says, I was suffering with bacterial vaginosis for 8 months when an ancestor came to me in a dream and gifted me with a vision to heal myself. With her help, I created the Honey Pot Co. to solve for what other brands wouldn't through the power of herbs. So I think that says a lot. Somebody who's actually gone through some things and wanted to find some remedies, came up with something. That sounds good. So when using this, you use 3 pumps and then you just kind of get in there and wash. I noticed no irritation, no nothing. It felt pretty smooth and slick. It's a good wash. I enjoyed it because typically, like, you're not really supposed to use soaps down there because of the risk of infection, and because most soaps that we use in our body don't carry the same pH that we need down there. So this was nice that this worked. I didn't have to worry about anything. I'm really sensitive about stuff like that, so this was good that this worked. And it smells good as well. It's not like an overpowering smell. It just smells like really natural and fresh. I love it. And it comes out like a foam, by the way. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna keep buying this, so I'll give this a 10 out of 10. And I've never used like feminine products like this before, and it was never into like St. or Eve's or whatever the products are that people have been doing, like douching and stuff like that. I was never into that, which is why when I found out that they came out with a natural brand, I was like all over it. The next thing is the Honey Pot wipes. These are the normal wipes, and these are for your intimate parts, body and face. No parabens, no dioxide, again, plant-based feminine care. This contains lavender, aloe, and lemon peel. And some of you guys might be thinking lemon peel, oh hell no. But no, it's fine. I have no complaints about this. I like it because I have used it on my face, and I haven't had any breakouts or anything like that. I actually used it taking off some makeup before, and I was surprised at the amount of stuff that came off the first round. Because usually, like, you know what your wipes look like, you know what you're anticipating the makeup to look like, but I feel like this did a really good job of like taking the extra makeup off. So I do use this on my face and on my sensitive parts. And you know, I like it, and it smells good, and it keeps you feeling fresh, and you don't have to worry about it. These are not flushable wipes, so I wouldn't, just to let you go, no, these are non-flushable, but they're compostable. So that's something I guess might be something for you guys to know. So that's that. I give these a 10 out of 10. I will continue to buy them, because this is better than buying the little Charmin wipes that, you know, I will buy these. So, and then the last thing, what we're really all here for, most likely, is the menstrual cup. Now, I have a couple of tips about the menstrual cup, but this is the size 2. It comes in 2 sizes, 1 and 2. 1 is for if you're just more petite, if you haven't had kids yet, if you're like below a certain age. Let's see, I think it says it on the box. Okay, so size 1 is for women between the ages of 19 and 30 with a medium flow. Size 2 is for women over 30 or post-baby with a heavy flow. And I think on the website it says like the age goes up to like 25. I think it kind of varies, but you kind of know what you might want to try first. If you're worried about it, start with size 1, and that way you don't have as much issues with it if you feel like it's big. So the reason why I wanted to try this is because I've been into like natural feminine products for like your period and things like that, and I feel like I'm always like messing up my pants and like messing up like my clothing, because the natural pads and tampons don't last as long, and I have a really heavy flow. And so was super stressed out trying to figure out ways that I can like reduce that more without going back to products that don't really serve me. So I decided to try this, and not to mention we're on quarantine, so why not? I don't have to go as many places. I'm working from home most of the time, so like I said, why not? So I decided to try the cup, and I was scared as hell at first, but I did it. I've used it for 1 cycle so far, and so this is gonna be like my honest review of how I feel about this. And this is coming from someone who was like totally like, I'm not doing a menstrual cup, I'm good on that, I'm gonna stick to whatever it is that I've been doing. And so finally I was like, let's try it. And not to mention it's eco-friendly. So here's the cup, and it may seem like it's a little big, but it fits. This fits, girl. So one of the things is like, this is eco-friendly, so like you're using this all the time. Imagine how much products that are not going into the landfill. Think about all the tampons and pads we use on the yearly, and I was like, okay, I'm willing to try this, I'm willing to give it a shot, because just that right there was enough for me to be like, let's just do it. So it's like, this thing is really squishy, and it has like air holes on the sides. I don't know if you guys can see that. It has air holes on the sides, and then it has like it has like the markers inside for the amount, like, you know, if you were just curious about how much you were bleeding. It has a 10 millimeter marker and a 25 millimeter marker. So you can kind of tell. So this lasts, you can wear this for up to 12 hours without taking it out. But that also depends on your cycle. So if you're really heavy, I'd recommend checking on it or just kind of emptying it out in between time. Because that was the one thing that I didn't do. So the first night I wore this, I put it in, there's like lint on this, but I put it in around 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, and I woke up the next morning around like 6:45, so a little less than 12 hours. But I like I said, I'm very heavy, and so when I also wore a pad under, and when I did wake up, I did have leakage, and I thought, like, you know, this sucks. Like, I am not using this because it's still the same thing. But luckily it was just only on like the pad or whatever. So when I went to go change, I realized that this thing was filled all the way up. So had I maybe changed it just before I went to bed again, just to be clear, it probably would have lasted by the time I woke up. So as far as applying, there's 2 ways to apply this thing. So I'm gonna scroll just a little bit. So the 2 ways you can apply this is you can just make it into like what do you call this? I don't know, a sandwich, a U shape, and this makes it easier for it to go in. And so you can make it like this and stick it in, or with what I did is you press this down and in, and you create more of an angled, and it's a little smaller than the first one, so you create more of an angled entry point. So and it doesn't hurt or anything. Once you put it in, you don't feel it, unless you put it in like in a weird awkward place. I wonder, but I didn't feel it. It wasn't aggravating to me for the most times. Some people did have to clip the ends of this. I actually didn't. I kept it just where it was, because I didn't feel it at all. But maybe depending on like the length of your vaginal canal, you may have to clip it. So a couple tips about this is that if you're gonna try this, you have to be ready for a challenge, right? So this isn't just something that just snaps in and you just know what you're doing. I did watch a couple of videos and I did read a few articles on other people's experiences about the cup, because I wanted to be more informed, even though I knew that I was already gonna try it. I just wanted to know what to expect, what problems people ran into, and that kind of thing. One of the problems I did run into is just being prepared to take it out and put it in was easy, but taking it out was like, I was like, okay, I had to mentally prepare myself to figure out how I was gonna get it out. So before I get too deep into that, the first tip is you just have to be ready for a challenge. You have to be ready. It's not that difficult, but you have to be ready for what do you call it? Like just to fail, and then try again. So you just dust your shoulders off and try again at least. Tip number 2 is when you do take this out, we have to understand, especially in the morning, our cervix a lot of times is a lot higher in the morning because you've been resting, you've been sleeping, you're laying down, your body is at complete rest. Your cervix does go up. So when you go to take this out, sometimes when it's fresh in the morning, it may be a little bit more difficult to take out. I would recommend, and what I read too, is just to wait a little while. Some people say like about an hour, so that you kind of give time for your body to acclimate to being up again. Your cervix will drop, and then it'll be easier to access this thing. Tip number 3 is piggybacking off of that, understanding that this thing requires suction. It requires suction. So with that being said, if it is suction in place, you're not going to be able to use this thing to pull it out. You need to break the suction, which means putting your fingers in there to squeeze it away from the vaginal wall so that the suction is released, and you'll hear it. You'll hear like the kind of like guzzling sound. You'll hear it when it is unsuctioning, and then you can just pull out. But trying to pull it when it's already suctioned, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going anywhere. You see what I mean? So you'd have to push in to pull out. Tip number 3 is, with all these tips, you just have to be ready to get familiar with yourself. If you're someone who is achy with blood, or you're just not trying to stick your fingers all up in your vagina, then this may not be the cup for you. But if you're ready to kind of explore your body a little more, and you're not afraid to explore your body in that way, then this is something that is worth a try. But just knowing that, because you may have to get up in there. You never know where that suction point, release point is, and you may have to get those fingers in there. I always recommend just to go slow. Because that's what's worked for me, is just going slow, not just trying to rush in there and, pull this thing out, but to kind of go slow and feel around and kind of feel where things are. Tip number 4 is pay attention to the sizing. Like I said in the beginning, if you're unsure, start with size 1, because it's a little bit smaller than this, and it's going to be easier. But if you know that you have a heavy flow and you feel comfortable with going kind of, in and out of there, then you can get size 2, because it's worth it. I just started off with size 2 right away because I already know my flow is heavy, and it wouldn't even be worth it for me to pay $22 for a cup that isn't going to work the way I need it to. I'm going to be going back and forth to the bathroom. When I put this in the mornings, I didn't have to take it out until I came home from work, the days that I did have to go into the office. So that was really nice, because a lot of people are worried about like touching on this or like being in the bathroom in a public space, but I didn't have to worry about that because it does last for 12 hours. And if you insert it, correctly, then the suction will be there and you don't have to worry about leakage. Although I do recommend to still wear a pad or a panty liner when you're wearing this, especially in the first couple of cycles, so that you can get used to what it feels like when it's inserted correctly. Okay? So, tip number 6 again is the suction, and to making sure that this thing is suctioned in there, because if it's crooked or if it's not suctioned, you're gonna have leakage and that's gonna piss you off. The suction is not bad, it doesn't hurt, it just makes sure that this thing stays in place and it's around all the walls so that no leaking is coming out from here, because it goes all the way up to the top, right just under your cervix, if I'm not mistaken. And so if it sits here, all the blood is just gonna come in here. But if it's crooked, the blood will just kind of come out, and it defeats the purpose of you even having this thing in. So yes, and I would say my last and final tip is just the removing of this thing. I would practice different ways to remove it, because there are several ways you can remove it. You can try, I inserted this in the shower, and so you can remove it the same way in the shower. But if you don't like seeing blood, I wouldn't recommend doing that in the shower. I mean, I know the water's running and some people don't care, but maybe not for certain people. I also recommend putting one foot up on the toilet or the tub when you're taking it out, because it does make it a little more open for you to feel around and be able to pull it out. Another method I did is I put my foot, on the first couple of times I put my foot on the toilet and I leaned more towards that foot, like I was stretching. And that made me feel better, because I wanted to lean over the toilet as to not spill anything on the floor. And then the first day that I used this, the morning that I had to take this out, I couldn't figure out, and I didn't really know that the cervix was higher in the morning. So what I did was I squatted all the way down like little kids do when they're picking up stuff off the floor, both legs right next to me, but almost touching the floor. And I kind of just felt around in there, and that made it really easy for it to come out. So if ever you're in trouble, just squat all the way down. And then understand, you just have to relax, and these things just take a little time. So just be gentle with yourself and go slow if you need to. And this thing can get stuck. So if you're having a hard time taking it out and you're starting to get frustrated, just take a break, take a couple breaths, and then go back in and do it. Which is why I recommend to do this now during quarantine times, because you're at home for most of the time if you are not working and going to work. But just to be gentle with yourself and take your time. This thing cannot get stuck. It will always come out. You have to release the suction, pinch it from the bottom. And I'm not meaning the bottom here, because this is the first part you feel, but I mean in here, get in here and pinch from the bottom, and it should come out easy. Make sure you're relaxing and you're not clenching down there, because that also will make it hard, and we don't want that. So those are my tips for the Honey Pot Menstrual Cup. I would say I'm gonna continue to do this because I feel like it was worth it. I really feel like it's worth it. I wouldn't say I enjoyed myself, I enjoyed it, but no, I think it's good. And then you don't have to worry about it. I went paddleboarding with this in, and I didn't have to worry about any leaking or anything like that, as tampons, or you don't have to worry about the string hanging out and things like that. So once you get good with this thing is going to be an investment, and it lasts forever. So I will recommend this 10 out of 10, and it's for Honey Pot products. I recommend these products completely. So if you're looking for feminine care, or if you have issues with bacteria vaginosis or any other yeast infection and things like that, I would totally recommend her products, because I've heard nothing but good reviews, and now that I've tried them, I love them. So that's my review. Okay, so that concludes my video. So if you made it this far, you are a real one, and thank you very much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I have no problem answering any of the questions you have, especially based off of my experience or what I've read. I would totally recommend this, and I don't know, I just really appreciate you guys watching. So thanks for coming to my channel, and hopefully you find other videos you like. All right, peace.